Today we are going to read Rascal, and we are going to read chapter 1 to chapter 6. And guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment all down below. And guys, let's get started. Aren't you scared? Charles asked. I know you would. I know I would be really, really scared. Horses are huge. They're enormous. Plus, they could bite you. Lucy laughed. Her little brother came up with the craziest things sometimes. Second graders were like that. As a fourth grader, Lucy knew better. Horses don't bite, she said. Charles nodded. They do. He said, Sammy's mom said one bit her when she tried to give it a carrot. Really? Lizzie stopped looking out the living room window and stared at her brother. A horse actually bit her? Lizzie did not like the sound of that. But horses don't eat meat. Horses are vegetarians. So was the Triceratops. But I wouldn't want one biting me, said Charles. Lizzie nodded. Charles had a point. Anyway, she said, I'm not scared, but she was. Ever since she had let her best friend Maria talk her into taking a riding lesson, Lizzie had been secretly dreading this Saturday morning. And now it was here, for as long as she could remember. Lizzie had loved animals. Dogs were her favorite, but all animals were wonderful. Penguins, sheep, tigers, pandas, even iguanas. Lizzie loved them all. She loved learning about them, drawing pictures of them, and seeing them at the zoo, or on nature shows. Everyone knew that Lizzie Peterson loved animals. What they didn't know was that there was one animal she had secretly there was one animal she was secretly afraid of: horses, and playing with them. And when it came to dogs, she loved caring for them and playing with them and training them. She and Charles were dying for a dog of their own, but so far they had not been able to talk their parents into getting one. At least not a full-time dog, but the Petersons were a foster family for puppies who needed new homes. They took care of them until they could find just the right owners. So far, and Lizzie and Charles had fallen in love with each one. Puppies were a lot of work, but they were so much fun. Lizzie could play with a puppy all day and never get upset. If it gave her little bites with its needle-sharp baby teeth. But a horse, that was a different story. Charles was right. Horses were huge. A horse couldn't curl up and sleep on your lap the way a puppy did. You couldn't tell what a horse might do. It might kick or buck or bite. Lizzie shuddered. She peeked out the window again, watching for Maria's dad's blue car. It would be pulling into the driveway any minute. They were picking her up on their way to the stable. Maria was so excited that Lizzie was finally coming with her. She loved horses and had been riding since she was 3 years old. She even had all the right riding clothes: boots, funny pants called jumpers, and a helmet. My parents will never agree to buy me all those special clothes for riding, Lizzie had told Maria. She'd been hoping to get out of going to the stable. But that excuse didn't work. That's no problem, Maria had answered. You can just wear jeans and sneakers. Cafe does require all her students to wear helmets, but I have an extra one you can borrow. Cafe was Maria's writing teacher. She had her husband, Wyan, and she and her husband Wyan owned the stable and lived near to it. Lizzie had been hearing about Cafe for weeks. How nice she was, how much she knew about horses. What a great teacher she was. Maria just knew that Lizzie would love Cafe and the stable and the horses just as much she did. Lizzie was not so sure, but she had decided that the best way to deal with her fears was to face it, and that meant going to the stable with Maria, meeting Cafe, and eek! Climbing onto the horse and riding it. Every time she thought about that, Lizzie's hand got sweaty and her heart started to pound. Everything okay, sweetie? Lizzie's mom came through the living room, chasing after the Bean, Lizzie's youngest brother. The Bean is his real name was Adam, but nobody ever called him that. Like to pretend he was a dog. At the moment, At the moment, he had a stuffed toy in his mouth, and he was crawling fast. He was playing keep away from Mom. Mom stopped and gave Lizzie a curious look. You must be excited about your riding lesson. I guess, said Lizzie, shrugging. You're a brave girl, her dad said. He had come into the room with the morning newspaper, one that her mom was a reporter for, and he was sitting down on the couch. Personally, I've always been a little bit afraid of horses. They're just so big. Charles went over and gave his dad a high five. That's exactly what I told her, he said. Lizzie stared at her dad. He was a grown man, a firefighter. She never imagined that he was afraid of anything, much less horse. If he was scared for a second, Lizzie thought about changing her mind. All she had to do was admit to her parents that she was terrified. They wouldn't make her do something that scared her. Then she heard a car in the driveway. That must be Maria, she said. It was too late. Now she had to go through with it. But as she was walking toward the front door, she heard a dog barking. It was a loud, piercing, high-pitched bark. That's not Simba, she said. Maria's mother was blind, and Simba was her guide dog. He was big, calm, yellow Labrador retriever who hardly even ever barked at all. Lizzie opened the front door and saw a car in the driveway, but it wasn't a blue one. It was green. There was a woman getting out of the car. In one hand, she held a bag of dog food. In the other, she held a red leash, and at the end of the leash was an adorable puppy. It was white with patches of black and tan. It was jumping straight up and down as if all four legs were pogo sticks. Boing, boing, and it was barking its little head off. By now, Lizzie's family was standing behind her at the open door. They were all staring at the puppy. Please, exclaimed the woman, you have to help me. Chapter 2. That's Susan from work, Mrs. Peterson said. Susan, she asked the woman, what are you? I can't take it anymore. What are you? What are you? I can't take it anymore, she said the woman. We tried, we really did, but we just can't deal with it. This dog. She had to shout to be heard over the puppy's barking. At the same time, a baby in the car seat inside the car started to wail, and the two blonde kids strapped in next to him began to yell, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!" Lizzie walked over to the woman and took the leash from her hands. "Come on, pup," she said, leaning down to scoop the exciting puppy into her arms. "Quiet down, shh, shh, you're being silly." "Let me down, let me down, let me down." The puppy wriggled and barked. What good was being in a new place if you couldn't explore? Oh well, if he couldn't get down, maybe he could at least make a new friend. The puppy struggled a little, but then seemed to decide that he liked being in Lizzie's arms. He gave a few last barks before he started to lick her face instead, starting at her chin. He worked his way up to the inside of her nostrils, which made Lizzie giggle because it tickled so much. She couldn't believe how friendly the little guy was. After a grateful smile at Lizzie, the woman had turned back to the car to talk to her children. "It's okay, guys," she said. "These people will take good care of Rascal." She unbuckled the kids' seat belt so they could climb out of the car and took the baby out of his car seat, settling him on her hip. Rascal! Lizzie loved that name. It was perfect for the wild little puppy. Mom came over to give the woman a hug. "Susan works with me at the paper," she explained to the rest of the family. "She's a proofreader here. She catches all the mistakes in my articles I write." By then, Charles had joined Lizzie. He was stroking Rascal's wiry coat. "What kind of dog is Rascal?" he asked. "He's a Jack Russell Terrier," said Lizzie and Susan at the same time. Lizzie had recognized Rascal's breed the moment she saw him. He looked just like the Jack Russell on her Dog Breeds of the World poster, small and muscular, with a short, stubby tail. His ears stood up halfway and then flopped over, and he had a sharp, pointy black nose and bright, shiny black eyes. He was curious and ready for action. Susan nodded at Lizzie. "So you've heard of this breed?" "I never had until my kids saw one in the movies. Once they saw that dog, they bugged me and bugged me to get the Jack Russell Terrier. They thought it was the cutest dog they ever saw." "Jack Russells are definitely adorable," Lizzie agreed. "So we went to a pet store and picked out this puppy," Susan went on. "He seems like the friendliest one in his litter." A pet store? Lizzie knew that pet stores were not the best place to buy puppies. If Susan had gotten her puppy from a breeder or a shelter, she would have learned a lot more about what to expect from a Jack Russell. Those dogs were all energy. Susan nodded. "I know, that probably wasn't so smart, but the kids wore me down." "How old is Rascal?" Charles asked. "About 6 months old," Susan told him. By this time, Rascal was ready to get down. He started churning his legs so much that Lizzie finally bent over and put him on the ground. He ran right over to the flower bed and pounced on a red tulip, pulling Lizzie along. "Hey!" said Mr. Peterson. "Lizzie, keep him out of the garden." Lizzie tugged on his leash, but Rascal ignored her. He pounced on a yellow tulip and then on another red one. He was so cute and funny to watch that for a moment. They all just stood there, laughing, but finally Lizzie picked him up and set him down on the lawn, away from the garden. Hey, what's the big deal? I was having fun! Rascal twirled around 3 times to right and 3 times to the left, then jumped straight up in the air a few times, barking the whole time. By the time he finished, he'd forgotten all about the tulips. Yahoo! The soft grass felt great under his feet. Life was good. Anyway, he's a sweet little guy, so friendly and happy. But he's also been nothing but trouble since we got him. Susan was saying, he barks, he jumps all over the furniture. He chases the neighbor's cat. He chews everything, and he doesn't listen to a thing I say. She jiggled the baby she was holding. I just can't deal with him anymore. I have 3 kids to take care of too. We'll take him, Charles said. He was on his knees next to Rascal. Lizzie was holding the puppy's leash, and Charles was trying to get him to shake hands. Whoa, wait a minute, kiddo, said Mom. I'm not sure about that. But you told me all about how you found homes for those other puppies, said Susan. I was hoping you could do the same for Rascal. Yeah, please, Mom, Lizzie said. We don't have to keep him forever. We can just be his foster family until we find the right home for him. She looked down at the puppy who was chewing on Charles' shoelace. He really was pretty cute for a little dog. Usually, Lucy liked big dogs much better, but Rascal seems such a fun puppy. Even if he did have a lot of bad habits, I'm sure we can train him so he'll behave better. The kids have done a tremendous job with the other puppies we fostered, Dad reminded Mom. I know, Mom. I know, Mom said, but this puppy really seems like a lot of work. He's a completely house-trained, Susan said. He never makes mistakes. See, Mom, he's smart, Lizzie said. He will learn fast. He just needs more attention than Susan can give him. Well, Mom said slowly, if you're really ready to take this puppy on, yay! Yelled Lizzie and Charles together. Rascal sprang to his feet and spun around barking. Just then a blue cart pulled into the driveway. Maria, Lizzie said. She had forgotten all about the riding lesson, and now she had the perfect excuse to put it off. Obviously, she was going to have to stay home and help with the new puppy. Rascal, the troublesome puppy, had arrived at just the right time. Chapter 3. Lizzie had recently read that it was a good idea to keep a diary for dog training, so she decided to start one for Rascal. Training diary. Rascal, Day 1. Saturday. Here goes Rascal, arrived today. He sure is full of energy. After about 10 minutes indoors, Mom begged us to take him outside. Sammy came over to help me and Charles figure out the best way to help Rascal get rid of his bad habits. So, this is the new puppy. Sammy watched as Rascal tore around the yard barking at everything and nothing. Sammy, Charles' best friend, lived next door. Good thing I didn't bring Rufus and Goldie, said Sammy. I think you have your hands full already. Rufus was an older golden retriever, and Goldie was a younger one. Goldie was the first puppy the Petersons had ever fostered. It had been really hard to give her up, but at least she now lived right next door. I don't know, Lizzie sighed. Maybe they would be a good influence on Rascal. He's out of control. Lizzie had learned a lot about training dogs from the internet, from books, and from dog trainers she had met, but she wasn't sure any of it would work with this puppy. He definitely had a mind of his own and enough energy for a whole pack of dogs. Mom sure wasn't happy when he ran into the living room and jumped onto the couch. Charles agreed. And from the couch to the chair to the coffee table, Lizzie added, I don't think he touched the floor once. Rascal wondered why nobody was chasing him. It was fun to run around in circles, but much more fun when somebody chased him. He barked some more. Why weren't the children playing with him? Rascal dashed toward Lizzie and away again, looking over his shoulder. He wants me to chase him, Lizzie said, but there's no way I'm getting into that game. He needs to learn that the best way to get my attention is to come over and sit quietly. Ha, said Charles, like he'll ever do that. If we wait long enough, he might, Lizzie said. If he does, he'll get a biscuit. She showed Charles and Sammy the dog biscuit in her pocket. That's called positive reinforcement. If he does something good, he gets a treat. The book says it will work better than yelling at him. Said Charles. Maybe we should tell Mom about positive reinforcement. If I got ice cream for finishing my homework, I'd probably do it sooner. I think my mom already knows about it, said Sammy. She promised me a new baseball glove. Sammy. She promised me a baseball glove if I keep my room clean for a month. While they were talking, Rascal had finally stopped barking and running around the yard. Lizzie could tell that he was looking at her. She pretended not to notice. He came closer, cocking his head curiously. She kept pretending to ignore him. Finally, he sat right down next to her. Good dog, Lizzie exclaimed. She tossed him a dog biscuit. Rascal jumped up and snatched it out of the air. He gobbled it down. Then he took off again at high speed. Well, Lizzie said, laughing as she shook her head, it's a start anyway. Training Diary, Rascal. Day 2, Sunday. Here's a list of some of the things Rascal had chewed in the 24 hours since he came to stay with us. The straps on Charles' backpack, his favorite work gloves, right glove, totally destroyed, left one, sort of wearable, but missing thumb. Lizzie's math book, not that I mind. The Bean's yellow blankie, Mom's new sandals. There were more items Lizzie could have added to the list, but it was too depressing. Rascal's chewing habit was a real problem. On Sunday morning, after Mom found her sandals, or what used to be her sandals, on the bathroom floor, Lizzie got on the internet to do some research. What was the best way to train a puppy not to chew? The first thing Lizzie learned was don't give the puppy a chance to chew things. After lunch, she and Charles and Dad closed off the kitchen with one of the Bean's old baby gates. From now on, Rascal would have to stay in there if he couldn't roam the house he would have fewer chances to find things to chew. Plus, he won't be able to jump all over the furniture. Charles told Rascal looked back at them from inside the kitchen. He whined and barked and jumped up and down. Lizzie had also learned that it was a good idea to give a puppy his own things to chew on, toys that were made for little dogs with sharp teeth. He scrambled after it and sat under the kitchen table gnawing happily. If only they had given me this yummy bone in the first place, thought Rascal. This was way, way better than any of the other things he tried to eat, and nobody was going to take it away from him either. He was safe and sound in the kitchen behind this gate. Life was good. Lizzie shook her head as she watched Rascal chew. She had never imagined that she would meet a dog she couldn't train, but Rascal was a real challenge. Chapter 4. Rascal sounds like a handful, Maria offered Lizzie a fig Newton from her lunch bag. He is, Lizzie said. She took off the cookie and started nibbling off the edges. Then she sighed. I have to admit, but I'm not even sure what to do with him next. She had already given up to do the training diary. It was just too much upsetting to have to write down every naughty thing Rascal did. Dealing with Rascal was a full-time job, and after only 2 days, it was wearing her out. Being at school was almost like a vacation. Maybe you just need a break, Maria said. I have a writing lesson after school. I bet Kathy could fit you in if you wanted to come. Lizzie shook her head and popped the last bite of fig Newton into her mouth. I can't, she said, scrunching up her lunch bag. He sighed. We signed Rascal up for puppy kindergarten, and it starts today. Puppy kindergarten? Maria laughed. What do they do? Finger paint and play with blocks? Lizzie giggled, picturing puppies tracking finger paint all over. Or would that be paw paint? What a mess! No, it's just a series of classes to teach a puppy basic obedience, like how to sit and teach puppies basic and walk on a leash. They also get used to being around other dogs. It'll be fun. And it did look fun when Lizzie and Charles arrived at puppy kindergarten. Later that day, Dad dropped them off at Littleton Recreation Center, promising to come back in time to watch the last 10 minutes of class. Rascal pulled her at the leash when he heard the sound of barking dogs. He practically dragged Charles upstairs. Hey, Charles yelled. Take it easy. Looks like someone needs to learn some leash manners, said a college-age girl who was arriving at the same time. She stuck out her hand. I'm Jamie, your teacher, and this is Rascal, Lizzie said. We signed him up yesterday. We just got him on Saturday. Oh, right, said Jamie. You're the family that's been fostering puppies, Charles and Lizzie Peterson, right? I've heard all about you. Isn't one of your puppies going to be a guide dog? Charles and Lizzie exchanged a look. They were getting famous for fostering puppies. Cool, Lizzie nodded. That was Shadow, she said, our last foster puppy. That's awesome, said Jamie. Good for you. She pushed open the door to the gym, and the barking got loud. Oh, wow, Lizzie said when she saw all the puppies. There were 6 of them. No, 7, 8. They were running and tumbling and wrestling and biting each another. One of them, a tiny brown dachshund, was peeing in the corner, while its owner chatted with the owner of the baby bulldog. Oops, said Charles, pointing at the mess. Jamie shrugged and pulled out a roll of paper towels and out of her tote bag. It's all part of puppy kindergarten, she said. You can let Rascal off his leash, Jamie added, as she headed over to clean up the puddle. We keep the door shut so the puppies can play safely when they first arrive. That way they burn off some energy. But Lizzie began. She wasn't sure how Rascal would get along with the other dogs. They had decided to wait a few more days before introducing him to Goldie and Rufus. Just keep an eye on him, Jamie called as she went to talk to another owner. Okay, Rascal, here you go, Charles said, removing the leash. Yahoo! Freedom at last! The leash thing was horrible. Didn't they understand that he needed to run and play? Plus, he had a job to do. He had to let all these other dogs know he was in charge. The second he was free, Charles dashed away, zooming around the gym. He ran up to one puppy after another, pouncing on each one of them, and after another, pouncing on each one of them, and making it clear that he was the boss. The tiny Dachshund pounced right back, but the bigger bulldog trembled in fear, backing up against his owner's legs. Next, Rascal jumped up on a black lab puppy and a German shepherd with gigantic ears, and the two poodles, one black and one white. Rascal stole a squeaky football toy from a shaggy black pup and chased a funny corgi puppy. How dare he? With short legs under the bleachers. Lizzie and Charles chased all over the gym after Rascal, trying to keep him from scaring the other puppies. Rascal! Lizzie cried. Be nice! Come on, Rascal, Charles pleaded. Can't you be friendly? Soon Lizzie was completely out of breath. Okay, everybody, let's leash our pups and get started, Jamie called from the middle of the gym floor. Huh, said Charles, like that's going to be easy. He and Lizzie had already learned that it was tricky to catch Rascal if he didn't want to be caught. Come here, you, Lizzie said. She tried to grab Rascal as he flew past her toward the cowardly bulldog. It was so embarrassing. All the other owners were already standing in a big circle with their puppies. They were ready to work. Finally, Jamie snuck up on Rascal while he was trying to wrestle with the shaggy black puppy. She hung onto his collar until Lizzie could snap his leash shut. Thanks, Lizzie said, blushing. No problem, Jamie said. He's just a wild child. That's why he's at puppy kindergarten, right? She smiled at Lizzie, but on an hour later, she wasn't smiling as much. Rascal barked when Jamie was trying to talk, chased the other puppies, and during leash walking practice, and tried 3 more times to steal the black puppy's squeaky toy. Rascal, Jamie finally said, I think you need a timeout. She asked Lizzie and Charles to take him outside for a few minutes and let him cool down. Lizzie almost didn't want to go back inside when the time was up, but Rascal needed training and Lizzie needed help. I'm really sorry, she said to Jamie when class was finally over. Maybe we shouldn't come back next time. Was Rascal going to be a kindergarten dropout? Oh, don't worry about it, Jamie said. You should definitely keep trying, believe me. I've seen worse. He'll learn. Lizzie was starting to wonder about that. Chapter 5, guys. So we are going to end this right here, and we are going to read more after this, and bye! And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment all down below. Bye!